Welcome to this practice. This morning in the practice, I'm going to be highlighting for Kapha season in the Kapha period of the morning. So when you come back to considering Ayurveda and yoga combined, Kapha season tells us that it's time for some growth and some resurgence of our creativity and our spontaneity. And in the Kapha period of morning, however, many people feel really fatigued, exhausted, overwhelmed. They don't have a sense of waking up with vitality. So this practice is going to be about that. So we're teaching this right now as part of our yoga teacher training program for the 200-hour yoga teacher training. So if that interests you, please send us a message. I'd be glad to answer any questions for you. And as always, whenever you're watching a video on YouTube, it's really helpful to subscribe to the channel and hit like for any videos that really work for you so that I can know what more to offer you as we go forward with the channel. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the practice. Okay, yes, good morning and welcome for practice. So this practice, we're going to be using some techniques that we drew from in previous practices like lion's breath and Uddiyana Bandha. We'll also use vibration in the form of sound, so a chanting practice. This is Kapha season, and we're in the Kapha period of the morning. So we want to use a couple techniques that are going to help Kapha dosha not to take us back to bed, as it were. Right. So one of the susceptibilities that people have when their doshas are out of balance is Kapha symptoms will show up in kind of the Kapha period of the morning. And if you can feel like lethargic about waking up. In the nighttime, Kapha also can take over and we feel really tired and we end up doing activities that are maybe sedentary, passive, like watching TV or scrolling and having information come at us, instead of activities that might be more, let's say, life-giving or connected to our creativity. When Pitta dosha is out of balance, we can tend to have symptoms in the middle of the day, at the Pitta time of day, where we feel urgent to get things done. We want to be productive. Our primary value is efficiency and effectiveness and productivity, but that's not really our core value as a person. It's not our deepest life value, though Pitta can get confused about that. And then Vata dosha, when it's out of balance, can end up giving us symptoms in the Vata periods of the day, like early morning insomnia and mid to late afternoon anxiety about not getting it all done during the Pitta period of the day. So this flickering sense of anxiety or apprehension, or the mind is kind of swirling and it's hard to get focused. And sometimes people use Kapha inducing or Kapha deepening things at that moment, like they might go to happy hour, they might have alcohol, they might have a snack, they might reach for food that kind of sedates them a little bit to calm down the Vata whirl. Sometimes people reach for a Kapha inducing, and not a Kapha nourishing, but like a Kapha waterlogging experience. Now, of course, at other times, people will go to the gym. Their Vata dosha is up, and so they go and they exercise, and you feel a lot better from exercise. But in that form of exercise, if it's very Pitta inducing, then your Vata, Pitta, and Kapha doshas are still going to go out of balance, even though you'll temporarily feel better. Like you'll feel like you regulated something, and you did. But did we heal the imbalance of the doshas? And that's a larger question for us to keep pursuing with yoga. So for this morning, as we practice, I want you to think about, we're energizing the Kapha dosha so that we can have a sense of the doshas as a whole coming into balance. So at the end of the practice, we hope that you feel that kind of balance that a tridoshic groundedness can offer you. So please take a comfortable seat. Rest your hands in your lap if you like. You're welcome to close your eyes. And maybe from what I've said, you have like little flickers of personal insight or a little awareness of where you fit in any one of those. Maybe you fit in all of those descriptions. For now, I'm going to ask you to set mental activity aside and to drop into your body and just welcome it to be as it is. So however you're showing up, maybe feeling really vital, had a good night's sleep, maybe feeling a little bit foggy, didn't get wonderful sleep. Whatever's happening, let's give space for it to be what is happening. And then lengthen your spine so your posture becomes a little more upright, a little more alert. Like a gesture of respect for your practice and for the tradition. Lift the base of your skull and slide the base of your skull very slightly back. So there's a little bit of tone in the front of the throat. And now as you inhale, start sensing the breath moving in your abdomen. So we have to release any unnecessary tension in the abdomen to allow the breath to drop down. So begin to sense the movement of inhale and exhale as you experience it in your lower abdomen. So even lower than your belly button and above the pubic bone. And with your inhale, I'm going to ask you to imagine that you are like a lighthouse at the shore, and it's a little bit foggy in the morning at the particular time. And there are boats in the harbor, but you can't quite see them. So when you inhale, imagine that you're turning on the lights in the lighthouse. And on the exhale, just imagine that you're dissipating a little bit of the fog and the boats in the harbor start to become more clear. We can imagine that each of those boats in the harbor represents an aspect of you, a part of you, maybe the part that wants to go back to bed, the part that feels enthused to be on your mat for your practice, the part that's already planning your day, different parts are there in the boats, but we inhale, turn on the lights in the lighthouse. And exhale and imagine that fog between the lighthouse and the boats is dissipating. So the boats become more clear to you. And then you can ask those boats to move out a little ways into the harbor and to give you the space to be in your practice right now. So practice is a time of refuge and reconnection to the self, capital S. And the lighthouse represents that indwelling self. So with respect for those parts that might also be present with you, we just ask them to go a little ways out into the harbor. And then you'll have the space for your practice, for your mind to be perhaps more clear. And then please raise your hands to your heart. And we'll begin with chanting Sahana Bhavatu, Sahana Bhunaktu. When you're ready. Om Sahana Bhavatu, Sahana Bhunaktu, Savidyang Karava Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidveshavahi Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Savidyang Karava Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidveshavahi Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Savidyang Karava Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidveshavahi Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha Hari Om. And with your exhale, you may bow your head to your heart. Release your hands when you're ready to. Open your eyes. So this is a pranayama practice, right? And many times people might even feel too lethargic in the physical body to practice pranayama. And that's one reason why we describe in the Yoga Sutras, the yamas, niyamas, the Eightfold Path, that pranayama comes after asana. That doesn't mean that every single time you practice pranayama, you need to have asana first. It means that we've had enough asana in our life to bring on some well-being in the physical body, such that we can sit comfortably for pranayama. Even before asana, we have yamas and niyamas. And so the yamas and niyamas help us to kind of clean up our life and to live with a little more clarity and sanity and purpose, so that when we get to the asana practice, we're not carrying so much debris in the physical body. We don't have so much to overcome. But that being said, you have been practicing asana. You are committed yogis. But we're not going to go to a big asana practice and then have the seated practice. We're going to come right into it. And again, we're going to be working on dissipating the kind of kapha that gets too heavy, and then bringing back this balance in the tridoshic sense. So place your hands out over your knees, make them taut. Okay? And then lift up through your spine. So you can feel you have to lift up a bit purposely. Root down with your tailbone. Lift the base of your skull and slide the base of your skull very slightly back. And then in this posture that has some tone, start to use your Ujjayi breath and sense the subtlety of the sound of the Ujjayi. So the Ujjayi sound ought to be smooth and silky. It happens in the back hollow of the throat and right behind the sternoclavicular notch. And you'll hear it with your inner ear. So begin now. When the inhale feels prepared enough, begin to raise your torso and your spine up into a cow pose spine. Open your throat. And then exhale and curl your spine down into a cat pose spine. Come into flexion. Inhale, roll forward with the pubic bone, go down. then up through your spine, open your throat. Exhale, roll forward with your tailbone, curl the lower belly in, round your spine, come down with your chin towards your chest. And then continue moving at the pace of your Ujjayi breath. And as you're moving through, remind yourself that the pauses at the bottom of your exhale and the top of your inhale, those pauses are also a way to bring harmony to your whole body. The pause is something that ought to be there in the breath cycle. It's a sign of health for the nervous system when we have those pauses in the breath, but we're not here to force the pauses. Just notice that there's a natural lull at the top of your inhale, and there's a natural lull at the bottom of the exhale. And as you make each transition smooth, you're smoothing out the nervous system and cultivating a capacity for deeper concentration. We'll do this one more time, inhaling up. And exhale down. And then sit quietly. And connect back to the resting breath for the inhale and exhale. You feel that in the lower belly. And we can maintain our request that the inhale is to turn on the lights in the lighthouse, and the exhale is to ask the fog to dissipate, the boat's moving a little further out into the harbor. Now we're going to use 10 brisk breath cycles, in through the nose, out through the nose, in and out. To be clear, the inhale, the diaphragm pulls down, the abdomen's going to expand, the chest will lift a little bit. On the exhale, the diaphragm is going to return to the solar plexus. So even though I'm going to go like this, in, out, it's not that you're pushing down on the exhale. And it's not that you're pulling up on the inhale. The diaphragm's actually going down for inhale and up for exhale, but we tend to feel like we're going to go in, out, in, out. So that's why that hand gesture goes that way. And you don't have to move your hand. It's for me to help you pace yourself. So let's go 10 times. Now inhale. Hold the breath. Release your exhale when you're ready to, and do that slowly and thoughtfully. Rest in the natural breath. Again, 10 times. Inhale. Suspend the inhale. Release the bandhas and the breath in your own timing. And so now we're going to take that into what's maybe more formally thought of as Astrika, a bellows breath. So in this case, we're going to be using the diaphragm as well, but you're going to sense like a bellows. So you go out, in, out, in. Of course, your abdomen is moving in the last breath too, but this is going to be more rapid, and we'll do it 30 times. So something like this pace. Now inhale slow. And then you suspend the breath again. And release the bandhas and the breath in your own timing. And drop back to the natural breath, the resting breath, so that inhale and exhale simply occur. And they might be very subtle right now. And one more time. At the end of 30 exhales, then you exhale it out and then inhale to suspend. Exhale. Inhale to suspension. And then suspend. And release in your own timing. And rest again in the naturalness of the breath. Simply watching any, even small sensation of the abdomen moving with the breath. You might also be aware the relative stillness of the breath. Okay, let's make the hands taut once again, and we'll return to the first practice. We're going to be adding lion's breath in here after several rounds of Ujjayi. So with your inhale, the Ujjayi breath goes up into extension, spinal extension. With the exhale, we come down. And so breathing in, Ujjayi. Exhale, curl down. You may notice that you have perhaps a little bit longer breath, or sometimes we feel that there's greater lung capacity. It may be more that you've dissipated what was blocking that capacity, as well as you're increasing the skill you have in using your capacity. Now we're going to start inhaling to roll up, and on the exhale, we're going to practice lion's breath. So make your hands into paws, and on the exhale, your fingers go into claws. You're going to come forward, stick the tongue out, bug the eyes out, and make a big exhale. And then we inhale again, hands on the knees, Ujjayi breath. Inhale, hands like paws. Inhale, hands like paws. Again. One more. And then sit back and rest in the naturalness of the breath. Lion's breath is a cleansing breath. You might notice the relative stillness of the breath, and therefore the stillness of the mind. Okay, now let's take the sequence into a bit of a quadruped time. We're going to come to the hands and knees, and we'll continue using Ujjayi. And the other thing that we are dedicated to is synchronizing the movement of the breath and the movement of the spine. And that synchronizing is important because it's really synchronizing your mind, your breath, and your body. And when the mind is synchronized with the breath and the body, it wanders less out to the boats in the harbor, right? So keeping that in your awareness, please come to table pose. We're going to use Ujjayi, cat and cow, and we will be introducing also lion's breath is going to come back. So come to your table pose. And as you inhale, shift into cat pose. So the back is going to round like a parachute. And as you exhale, come into cow pose. So your spine's going to arch like when the cat or the dog are stretching their spine in the morning, or like the shape of the spine of the cow out in the field. Inhale to cat. Exhale to cow pose. At your own pace, use the Ujjayi and respect the pauses at the top of your inhale and at the bottom of your exhale. And one more time, inhale to cat pose. And one more time, exhale to cow pose. Now reach back to child's pose. Walk your hands out in front and keep them active. Okay, so now what we're going to be doing is on the inhale, we're going to undulate the spine from cat pose into cow pose. On the exhale, we'll get a chance to do lion's breath. And then we're going to inhale to cat pose and exhale to child's pose. So inhale, undulate your spine into cat and then cow pose. Inhale to cat. Exhale, child's pose. Squeeze the breath out. Inhale, undulate. Lion's breath. Inhale to cat. Exhale, child's pose. Inhale, undulate. Exhale, lion's breath. One more time, inhale to cat. And exhale, child's pose, squeeze the breath out. Okay, walk your hands back to your knees and come to Vajrasana, just resting in Vajrasana. Again, you can drop the breath. It's going to do its own rhythmic response. And it's possible that it'll feel very subtle. Let your mind drop into the subtle stillness. Now, from kneeling, it's helpful for some of you to have a block for your head because we're going to be coming forward. We practiced some inhale suspension already. And those inhale suspensions, were to help energize your body. So inhale suspension is a building practice. It's called Brahmana. It builds energy for you. Overcoming kapha dosha. We sometimes need to have a little energy. That's why people reach for caffeine. If they feel sluggish, I will have some caffeine. You can do inhale suspension to build some of that energy. So exhale suspension is langana. It's a calming or slowing down, pacifying. And exhale suspension is also going to lead us to the capacity for Uddiyana Bandha. If we can't manage exhale suspension, we can't really practice Uddiyana Bandha. And that Uddiyana Bandha is really helpful for your kapha dosha not to get like stagnant and waterlogged and lethargic. It also helps to energize your digestive system. So it can help with constipation. It can help with myofascial tightness in the abdomen. It helps us to have a sense of what's going on with the inner belly. It can also be helpful for your psoas muscle. So to get ready for that, we have these precursor practices. They also help us to understand exhale suspension as something that we can relax into. We don't have to feel panicked about it. So place your fists like this into the inner groove of the inner thigh and the low belly. And just check that when you come forward, you can rest your head. And by the way, it's not recommended to sip water during pranayama. It's only because I'm teaching and talking. Otherwise, don't sip something and then, come forward like this. So when you come forward, check that it's going to be comfortable. You can move the fists into the low belly. You can support your head at whatever height you're going to need that support for. And then come back up. Okay. So we'll inhale while we're coming up. We'll inhale when we're up here to start. We're going to exhale to go down, squeezing the breath out like a bellows, slow motion bellows. And then we're going to stay there without inhaling. To allow for that exhale suspension, no inhale, we totally relax, but we don't inhale. So there's going to be a little bit of tone right here at the throat. And that's your Jalandhara Bandha, like a baby form of your Jalandhara Bandha. So it's going to be a suction inside. It's the beginning of your Uddiyana Bandha. Okay, so let's breathe in, Ujjayi. Whenever your inhale is complete, then exhale to come forward in your own timing. This has to be at your own pace. Do not make yourself feel breathless during pranayama. You'll tone the belly to inhale and rise. And you can take a little pause, or you can continue consecutively when you have the practice level for that. So let's do it 4 times in total. And do take your time. Don't make yourself breathless, please. The end of your 4th one, when you come up, and you're just going to relax in Vajrasana. Transition to Prasarita Padottanasana. Take a wide stance. This is the next little step I like to introduce for Uddiyana Bandha, is that we come down to Prasarita Padottanasana, walk the hands forward so it'll appear that your arms are doing downward dog pose. Energize your legs and make this like a stable pyramid. Your hips should be vertical in the line of your heel. So this pyramid
is a different shape than the traditional pyramid, but that kind of sense, right? The hands, the feet are a stable base, the hips are the high point. Let's breathe in slowly. And as you exhale, as you're breathing out, pace the exhale so you're not breathless at the end of your exhale. And at the end of the exhale, you'll have squeezed the low belly in a particular way. And then without inhaling, radically relax the belly. So you'll feel once again that suction. You might notice it more in this position because your torso is a little bit inverted. Then you're going to tone the low belly before you inhale again. Try that one more time at your own pace there so that you can really feel confident about that exhale suspension. It's at the end of the exhale. Don't be breathless by that time. So don't labor the exhale so long that you feel like you're already anxious. And during that exhale suspension, you're just relaxing and the deep low belly is going to kind of suction in. Okay. And then please walk yourself up to standing. Now that suction that you're noticing in the low belly, that is why this is contraindicated if you are pregnant or you have your menstrual cycle, because Uddiyana Bandha means Uddiyana flying upwards. Well, menstrual cycle is going downwards, so we don't do this during the menstrual cycle. Now, when we're constipated and we don't have good flow downwards, sometimes Uddiyana Bandha can massage the internal organs. It can actually help to give some, and it can feel really hard to do if you're constipated because you feel blocked. So how are you going to get the bandha? So a regular practice of Uddiyana Bandha, except not when you're having your menstrual cycle, but that regular practice can help your digestive organs to get like a full massage from you doing this practice. So take a horse stance, bend your knees, place your hands on your knees. We want to use 2 straight arms. So you're pressing into the knees with the strength of the arms. It means you're not holding your torso up with your back muscles and you're not using your abdominal muscles to do it either. Okay, and then we're going to be inhaling smoothly. There's going to be an exhale at your own pace. You squeeze the low belly to release the exhale as completely as possible, again, without laboring it so you don't feel breathless already. And then you're going to, upon that release of the exhale, and you've squeezed the belly, you relax the belly for a moment, then you make a pretend inhale. And that is going to cause the deeper suction of Uddiyana Bandha. Okay, let me talk us through it now at the pace of mine, and then you can do it on your own. Okay, we'll do the inhale. You get a relatively full inhale and then exhale thoughtfully. Don't make it so long and so labored that you feel breathless. At the end of the exhale, you've squeezed the low belly, then radically relax the belly muscles that made the exhale without any inhale. And then make a pretend inhale. And then tone the low belly and breathe in smoothly. And then you can continue to do that in sequence, or you can take a break between breath cycles. Let me say a little bit more about the nuance of that moment at the end of the exhale. Just as you're practicing, you can take in my words. You're exhaling to squeeze the breath out, and the low belly is a part of that exhale squeeze. You can also press into your arms so your hands are more firm against your knees. The moment that you relax those exhale muscles without inhaling, there is a release of the superficial exhale muscles, obliques and rectus abdominis. And that release allows your diaphragm to participate in the pretend inhale. And that means that the diaphragm is what's helping to massage the inner body during your Uddiyana Bandha. Then you want to release that to have tone again before you gasp for the next inhalation. So at your own pace, try it one more time.
And then come down to a ragdoll forward bend. And then rise up to standing.
Okay. So of course, there's going to be questions about this. It's an unusual practice if you've never done it. And what I can do is make an individual instruction video about Uddiyana Bandha. And I'll get the camera angle so you can see my abdomen doing the things that it's doing. We don't have the right camera angle for this right now or the right camera setup for it. So look for that as a future video to come as a resource for you. And know that what you discover in here, this is, for me, it's like a great chance to know, like, how am I really doing? How are things? Because sometimes you don't realize that one side of the abdomen is tighter than the other. Could be a psoas muscle, could be something in the myofascial system, and could be organs, could be your digestion. So it's a way of, really staying connected with your inner body, the vital organs. Okay, please take a seat. Having energized, and notice that we didn't have warrior two or handstands or anything like that, but you may feel energized or alert right now. So we're going to do a chanting practice. I'd like to introduce to you a way to think about this chanting practice. Simply, we're going to be chanting the sound of Om. So there's two, possibly three ways to reflect on this right now. The first is that the A sound is at the back of the throat. Ah. The U sound is in the middle of the mouth. Ooh. And the M sound is at the lips. Mm. And the silence is beyond that. Right? So the reason we put the lips inside the teeth is that it causes the vibration to go into the mouth. And you can think of that as going to the upper palate and then vibrating for the pituitary and the pineal glands. The pineal is the master gland of the body, and sometimes your pituitary is associated with that. The pineal, master gland, pituitary is like the gland responsible for your growth, and many of your hormones, of course, are conducted from the pineal and the pituitary. So they have leadership roles in your hormone system. It's also right behind the third eye. That's where the vibration is going to go from the upper palate through the sinuses to the third eye. A second way we're going to think about this is that the hands are going to be in Anjali Mudra, and the thumbs touching each other are going to touch the sternum. And if you say, ah, you'll feel that vibration in the chest at the sternum. And then the oo sound, ooh, you feel it more in the throat. And the M sound is up in the mouth. Mm. So you're moving the vibration. It's so cool. You're moving it from the heart to the throat to the mouth. And then the silence, the fourth syllable of Om is silence. It goes up also to the mind, consciousness. So Om is going this way, and then it goes in, right? A, U, M, and then in and up. And then Om is going A, U, M, and then up. Okay, a third way to think of this, just to give it to you, is the A is for that creation energy, that which creates. The U is for that which sustains, the sustaining energy, and the M is for that which dissolves. Sometimes in yoga we say destroys, but I'm going to use the word dissolves. And then the silence. Okay, so place your thumbs. And inhale at your own timing. And chant at your own pace, of course.
the A, the U, the M, and the silence equal in length to each other. And then inhale. Ah. Oh. Oh. Please do that one more time. And then come to rest in quiet meditation. And because this meditation may go for quite some time for you, like you can sit in quiet longer than you might imagine, let me say thank you for being here. Let's enjoy the silence together. Stay as long as you like. Hey, thanks for sharing your practice. And before you go, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. That gives us information about what we're providing and how we can help you further. Have a wonderful day. Please take care of yourselves.